Thousands of veterans over 60 are leaving between like $8,000 and $20,000 a year on the table.
Yeah.
And it's not because they don't qualify, but because the VA just isn't telling them to ask for it.
It is honestly a staggering amount of missing money.
Yeah.
And the most frustrating part of the whole situation is that it's entirely preventable. I mean, this money is sitting there, fully appropriated by state legislatures, just waiting for a phone call that, most veterans don't even realize they need to make.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Veterans Briefing. Today, our mission is to cut through the bureaucratic noise and explore 5 heavily subsidized, or in a lot of cases, completely free state-level benefits specifically designed for disabled veterans over 60.
Exactly. We are talking about real, actionable resources that can fundamentally change a family's financial landscape.
Definitely. Now, to establish the core premise right up front, these benefits live exclusively at the state level, right?
Right. They are funded by your local state legislature, and they have absolutely nothing to do with your federal VA disability ratings paperwork.
Which is wild to think about.
It is. That disconnect, that massive administrative gap between the federal government in Washington and your local state office is exactly why so many veterans miss out. Nobody in the federal system is going to sit you down and hand you a customized list of local benefits.
That disconnect really is the key, isn't it? Because the first major resource we're looking at is the disabled veteran property tax exemption. And the biggest hurdle is just getting the local county to recognize your federal status in the first place.
Yeah, and according to our sources, every single state offers some version of this, but the actual scale of the benefit varies wildly depending on your zip code.
Right.
In some states, the benefit just manifests as a modest reduction in your home's assessed value. But somewhere between 15 to 20-plus states currently offer a full 100% property tax exemption.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that usually applies to veterans who have reached a permanent and total rating, often referred to as P&T, or who have an individual unemployability designation.
Let's pause right there and define those terms for anyone listening who, might be handling the paperwork for their spouse or navigating this for the first time.
Sure, good idea.
A permanent and total rating, or P&T, means the VA has determined your service-connected conditions are 100% disabling and are unlikely to improve over time.
Exactly.
And individual unemployability, or IU, means you might not have a 100% rating on paper, but your service-connected disabilities prevent you from holding down a steady job, so the VA pays you at the 100% rate anyway.
Right. And when a veteran achieves either of those statuses, the federal VA is legally acknowledging their severe impairment. But here is the critical failure point that traps so many families.
Yeah.
The Department of Veterans Affairs does not notify your county tax assessor that your status changed. You could be rated 100% P&T for a decade, and your local tax office will never know unless you personally walk in and show them the paperwork.
It's like assuming your right hand is talking to your left hand. You'd think the federal VA would just ping the local county tax office, but they're entirely different universes. You just can't assume you're in the system.
You really can't. You have to be the physical bridge between these two entities. The actionable step here is picking up the phone, calling your county assessor, and asking directly about the disabled veteran property tax exemption.
Okay, so what paperwork do they need?
They will usually ask you to bring in your VA award letter, your most recent rating decision, and your DD-214.
And just to clarify for our listeners that DD-214 is the official certificate of release or discharge from active duty. It's basically the golden ticket for almost any veteran benefit.
It absolutely is.
You take that and your award letter down to the county office. And our sources note that the actual application process usually takes less than half an hour.
Half an hour of paperwork to potentially save an incredible amount of money. I mean, the average U.S. property tax bill runs around $2,800 a year.
Right.
But if you live in high-tax states, places like New Jersey, Illinois, Texas, New York, or Connecticut, we are routinely looking at property tax bills of $5,000, $10,000, sometimes even higher.
That's massive.
And this benefit wipes that bill out entirely for as long as you own the home.
That is an unbelievable return on investment for 30 minutes of your time. But let's look at the caveats. Say a veteran secures this exemption in New Jersey, but then they decide to retire and move to Florida. Does the new county just pick up where the old one left off?
No, not at all. Your exemption does not travel across state lines, and it rarely even travels across county lines within the same state.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to reapply entirely fresh at the new address with the new county assessor. A surprising number of veterans assume it carries over automatically, and they end up getting hit with a massive tax bill the following year.
Ouch. What about surviving spouses? Like, if a veteran passes away, does the family suddenly have to start paying thousands in property taxes the very next month?
Many states do extend a version of this benefit to a surviving spouse, but it requires manual action.
Got it.
If you are listening to this and you are the widow or widower of a veteran who had this exemption, call the county assessor to confirm your status immediately. Furthermore, a few states actually cap this exemption based on household income, even if the veteran is 100% P&T.
Good to know.
Yeah, so never make assumptions. Get the actual rules from your specific county.
Well, since we're already talking about physically taking your DD-214 and your VA award letter down to a local government office, let's talk about the DMV.
Ah, yes, the DMV.
You've got the paperwork in your hand. You can literally drive from the county assessor straight to the Department of Motor Vehicles to knock out our next major resource, which is the vehicle registration fee waiver.
Yes. Roughly 36 states will waive or significantly reduce your annual vehicle registration fees if you are a disabled veteran.
Which definitely adds up.
Oh, for sure. Registration fees typically run anywhere from $50 to $300 a year per vehicle. It isn't a massive windfall compared to the property tax exemption, but, it is money that qualifying veterans are paying year after year for absolutely no reason other than the fact that they haven't filed a single form to stop it.
And the eligibility threshold for the DMV is often much lower than the property tax requirements, isn't it? You don't necessarily need to be 100% P&T to get your registration waived.
That's right. A number of states lower the bar significantly for vehicle registrations, sometimes offering partial or full waivers, starting at a 50% disability rating.
Okay, that makes it a lot more accessible.
It does. Several states also expanded their coverage during recent legislative sessions to explicitly include veterans with individual unemployability designations.
Because historically, they kind of fell through the cracks there, right?
It's exactly. Historically, IU veterans fell into a frustrating administrative gray area where the DMV wouldn't recognize them because their actual rating wasn't 100%. But that landscape is rapidly shifting in the veterans' favor.
So you walk into the DMV with your award letter, and from what our sources indicate, this process often takes care of your disabled parking privileges at the exact same time.
It's a fast win. Filing this one form usually gets you issued a specific disabled veteran license plate, and that plate frequently comes with disabled parking privileges built right in.
No more doctor's notes.
Right, you bypass the entire process of getting a doctor's note for a separate hanging placard for your rearview mirror.
Yeah.
It consolidates two bureaucratic hurdles into one quick visit.
If you're finding these discussions helpful, please subscribe to Veterans Briefing so you never miss important updates and practical information for veterans and their families.
Absolutely.
So we've focused a lot on avoiding local fees and property taxes. Let's look at income. A lot of veterans over 60 are living on a combination of VA disability compensation, military retirement pay, and maybe Social Security. I want to clear up the confusion around what the state can actually tax because there are some massive misconceptions here.
Oh, there really are. Let's start with the unbreakable rule regarding federal compensation. VA disability pay is exempt from state income tax in every single state.
All 50 of them.
All 50. There is no state in the union where your VA disability check is taxed. It is invisible to the state tax system by default because it's already excluded from your federal adjusted gross income before the state ever even looks at your numbers.
Okay, so the VA disability check is safe. But military retirement pay, the pension you receive for serving 20 or more years, is treated completely differently by state revenue departments.
Yes, military retirement is legally categorized as a pension, and roughly 36 states fully exempt it. 9 of those do it simply because they don't have a state income tax at all, like Texas or Florida. But close to 24 other states have actively passed legislation to shield military pensions from state taxes as a way to attract retired veterans to live in their communities.
So the variation really shows up in the handful of states that still try to tax it.
Exactly. And this is where age becomes the critical factor. Hitting 60 or 65 triggers a massive shift in your tax liability in those remaining states.
How does that work?
Well, a number of states that do not fully exempt military retirement pay across the board will still carve out an age-based senior exemption once you hit 60 or 65.
Oh, I see.
They will shield the first several $1,000s of your retirement income, regardless of the source. If you turn 60 and you don't adjust your tax filing to claim that new exemption, you are essentially tipping the state government with your hard-earned pension money.
Which brings up a very practical scenario. Let's say a veteran is 63. They are just now realizing their state enacted an age-based exemption 3 years ago, and they've been paying state taxes on exempt retirement income this whole time. Can they get that money back, or is it just gone forever?
They can absolutely get it back, provided they act within their state's statute of limitations, which is typically around 3 years.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, a tax preparer who specifically works with veterans can file an amended return to recover those overpayments. You could potentially receive a check back for thousands of dollars in taxes you never actually owed.
We've talked about how states protect the money you already have through tax shields, but how are states helping veterans who are trying to build equity on those fixed incomes? That brings up a completely separate housing ecosystem state veteran home loan program.
Yes, very important distinction.
And I want to be really clear here, we are not talking about the standard federal VA loan that everyone knows about.
Right. We're talking about roughly 36 independent programs run by individual state housing finance agencies. So instead of the federal government guaranteeing a loan from a private bank, these states issue their own municipal bonds. They sell these bonds to investors, and they use that capital to directly fund mortgages for veterans at below-market interest rates.
That's super interesting. I imagine since these are state-run and funded by bonds, they aren't bound by the exact same federal underwriting rules. Are they offering direct down payment cash, or is it strictly interest rate manipulation?
They frequently provide both, actually. Because these programs are explicitly aimed at lower and middle-income buyers, they offer down payment assistance grants, sometimes up to 5% of the purchase price.
Wow, 5%.
Yeah, and you don't even have to pay it back if you stay in the home for a certain number of years. And the interest rates are significantly lower than the national average.
Let's put some hard math to that. For a veteran on a fixed income, maybe pulling in a VA disability check and Social Security, a lower interest rate is everything.
It dictates your entire purchasing power. If you secure a below-market rate through your state's bond program, just a 1-point rate reduction on a $250,000 30-year mortgage saves you roughly $50,000 in total interest over the life of that loan.
$50,000. That is incredible.
It is. Because mortgage interest is heavily front-loaded, that lower rate also drops your monthly payment by hundreds of dollars, which is the exact margin many fixed-income veterans need to qualify for the house in the first place.
And the incredible part of this is the stacking capability. You aren't forced to choose between the state bond loan and the federal VA loan, right?
Exactly. In many states, you can literally layer them together.
Really?
Yeah. You use the federal VA loan to guarantee the mortgage, which means you don't have to pay private mortgage insurance, and you use the state bond program to fund the actual loan, giving you the below-market interest rate and the down payment assistance.
So if a veteran can get a better rate and down payment cash, why isn't every single buyer using this?
Well, because these state programs have strict income and purchase price caps. A dual-income household making $150,000 a year usually won't qualify. But a disabled veteran over 60, living primarily on untaxed VA disability and a modest pension, they fit the income profile perfectly, but they never apply because they assume the standard federal VA loan is the only tool available to them.
That transitions us to our final resource, which operates on a similar principle of state-appropriated funds, specifically targeting veterans facing financial hurdles. We are talking about state emergency financial assistance grants.
Yes.
And our sources call this the biggest hidden benefit in the country, existing in all 50 states without exception.
Every single state sets aside specific funding, sometimes millions of dollars a year, to help veterans weather sudden financial emergencies. These funds are distributed through state veteran affairs offices and accredited county veteran service officers.
Now, I know the veteran community well, and I can hear some proud folks right now saying, look, I'm getting by. I don't need a handout. Let's leave that welfare for someone who really needs it. There is a massive ingrained stigma around asking for emergency cash.
There really is. And we need to completely reframe how we view these systems. This is not traditional, heavily means-tested welfare.
Right.
This is money that your state legislature specifically debated, passed, and earmarked with your name on it as a thank you for your service. They appropriated this money to keep the veteran community stable.
So it's already accounted for.
Exactly. If you don't use it, it doesn't automatically go to a homeless veteran down the street. It just sits in an administrative account, and eventually the state might reallocate it to patch a pothole budget because they assume the veteran need just doesn't exist.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. You aren't taking a handout. You are utilizing a resource to justify the budget for the next veteran who comes along. So let's walk through a real-world scenario. What does this money actually cover?
Imagine a 65-year-old veteran on a fixed income. Their car transmission blows out. It's a $2,000 repair. They can't afford it, which means they can't get to their VA medical appointments.
A complete cascade effect.
Right. Instead of taking out a predatory payday loan, they go to their county veteran service officer. They apply for the state emergency grant, showing the mechanic's estimate. Within a few weeks, the state cuts a check, often directly to the mechanic, to cover the repair.
That's amazing.
It covers vehicle repairs, sudden medical costs the VA won't pay, eviction prevention, or even utility shutoff notices.
But there is a massive catch regarding the timeline. It's not a limitless pool of money that you can tap into whenever you want.
The urgency is everything here. These grants operate on the state's fiscal year, which usually starts in July or October. The money is entirely first come, first served.
Timing is everything.
If you apply in August, right after the state budget is replenished, your chances of approval are excellent. If you wait until May, when the fiscal year is ending and everyone else has applied, that account is likely empty. The well is dry until July.
And these grants aren't just $50 here and there. We are talking about substantial assistance that can actually pull a family out of a crisis.
Grant amounts typically run anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 per application cycle. Some states even allow you to apply more than once a year if a new, distinct emergency arises.
Wow.
Yeah, veterans who understand this system can legally and ethically collect several $1,000s a year to maintain their stability. And because it's a grant, it does not count as taxable income and will not affect your federal VA disability compensation.
Let's recap our top 3 key takeaways from today's discussion. First, state-level benefits like the massive property tax exemptions and the DMV vehicle registration waivers are incredibly valuable, but they require you to physically bridge the gap. The federal VA will not notify your local county. You have to do the paperwork yourself.
Second, turning 60 or 65 is a major milestone that can unlock new state tax exemptions on your military retirement pay. You need to check your state's age-based carve-outs and talk to a professional about amending past tax returns to get your overpayments back.
And third, emergency financial grants exist in all 50 states to help with rent, car repairs, and utilities. But you must act early in the fiscal year, usually July or October, before those state funds run dry. Reframe your mindset. It is a dedicated resource, not a handout.
The overarching theme here really is proactive engagement. The state is not going to knock on your door and hand you a check. You have to locate the resources and initiate the process.
Which brings us to our one practical action for you today. Right after this finishes, go to your filing cabinet, pull out your VA award letter and your DD-214 and place them on your desk. Pick up the phone, call your county assessor or your State Department of Veterans Affairs and ask what benefits apply to your specific rating. Just make that first call. We would love to hear from you on this. Have you successfully navigated these state benefits? Have you hit any roadblocks at the county level? Let us know your experience or drop your questions in the comments below.
It makes you wonder, though, as automated databases become the standard across the private sector, how long will local governments be able to use disconnected systems as an excuse for keeping veterans' benefits out of their hands? We might be only a few years away from software that forces the state to apply these exemptions automatically without making the veteran jump through bureaucratic hoops.
Thank you for watching Veterans Briefing. Take care, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next episode.